Okay, so this is video 2 for the gradation structure. So once you've completed your simple gradation structure of circles, then you're going to start working on your more complex gradating structure. So I want you to use the examples covered in the PowerPoint here and the information in your module to create different types of gradating steps. So your steps are going to be sort of these 5 little sections where you're going to build your gradation units within. So these are some really nice examples. They're going to be 10 inches by 2 inches, and you're going to divide them into 5 parts. And your gradation should have a conceptual theme. You want to use values. These can be values like the markers, or it could be values created by quantitative mark making. So like lots of dots or lots of lines. The more lines there are, the darker it is. The less lines there are, the lighter it is, like this one down here, where we start off with a pretty dark circle and then it gets lighter and lighter as the lines change their weight and change their distribution. So you've got your markers to do values, and then you've also got quantitative mark making as well. I always really liked this second example here from the student. I thought it was very smart and very visually appealing, and honestly just really an intelligent design. They ultimately didn't go with it, but I really liked it. So the creation of a gradating structure happens in steps, okay? And so you have different types of options, which I've already sort of covered, the different types of gradations that there are. Union and subtraction, or planar gradation, planar rotation. And so what is important here is the way that you create your path. So here, the circle and the triangle, the path is moving upwards. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 steps to it. So that's going to be a slower gradation. And so that path is much more visibly gradating, sort of at a slow pace. You're going to do 5 steps in your gradation path. And so your first step is to create your 5 steps. And then you're going to look at the, in the module, I have this page, and also, of course, you've got that same page in this PDF. And it shows you different ways that you can create a gradation structure based on grids. So as you can see, there are different ways to distribute your steps to create gradations. So you're making 5 steps. So you can see here that like there's 5 steps in each of, well, in most of these examples, there's 5 steps. So like a very simple gradating structure could be just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or it could be something like down here where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then you also have a second sort of rotation coming across. That rotation would be created because it's not so much a rotation as it is like a visual path. So that's created because you have the 2 and the 2 and the 2 and the 2 and the 2, so it starts to create a zigzag as well as an up and down gradation. So you're going to look at these, you're going to pick 3 of them that you like, and you're going to recreate them just with numbers, okay? Just with numbers so that you can understand what the pattern is. And once you've done that, you're going to take the numbered patterns that you liked and familiarize yourself with by using the numbers, and you're now going to recreate them, but you're going to insert your 5 gradation steps, okay? And these are each going to be about 8 inches by 8 inches, and again in the sketchbook. Once you found the one that you like the most, then you're going to transfer your final design to a sheet of Bristol, and then you're going to use markers and pens to recreate the final. Then we're going to take that and insert it into Photoshop and create a repeating structure that's 11 inches by 17 inches. So step 1 is the creation of your steps. Step 2 is your numerical chart. Step 3 is inserting the steps into the numerical charts. Step 4 is the final gradation structure on Bristol, and then we're going to copy that and repeat. So here's some examples for you. these were done by hand and then photocopied. We didn't have Photoshop. So these were done by Annie. We can see her different types of gradations that she was playing with. And these are her numbers to help her figure out how she wants to gradate her structures. And then these are her 2 sketches. And then this was her final, 8 by 8 on Bristol. And then once it was repeated, we get a structure that looks like this. Here's another one by Megan. I don't have all of her work, I just have a few. So these were her ideas for her steps. And this was her final. So she had this cool final where she was gradating in a number of ways. She was gradating the value in the bird, but she was also gradating, there's also like this idea of the bird being inside the flower and then coming out of the flower. Or it could be an idea of a gradation of time where we have the flower and then the bird comes onto the flower and then perhaps slowly over time the flower gets small and the bird gets bigger. This was her final structure, 17 by 11, and I think very successful. I'm afraid I don't remember the student's name, but they chose to do paper planes, and then in the background they did the distribution of points as a way to create value. Here's another student example with union or subtraction. And another one. So you're going to basically, by hand, bring everything up to the 8 by 8 inch gradating structure. And then we're going to scan that in to make a much larger gradating structure in Photoshop. So check the calendar to see when it's due. And I will make one last video for you showing the Photoshop process.